Hello everyone, welcome to a editing tutorial for Kden Live, the Linux-based editing program we will be using on the media workstation to edit videos. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is get the video you've taken off of the SD card. To do this, you simply plug the SD card into the computer and it should show up under removable devices in the Dolphin file manager. You want to open two windows and put them on both sides of the screen as halves. So what you do, open the file. Now I'm using a different camera, so there's a different file directory than there will be with the Sony Handycam. So click on Home, go to Documents, and you're going to want to create a new folder and name it after the project you're working on. I'll just call it Example Project. Now you open that folder. Now take the videos you want, you select them, click and drag them over. Now hit Move here. Okay. Once you have the videos you want off of the SD card, you right click it, hit Safely Remove, and then remove the SD card. Now you want to put them onto the computer before you start the project. This is so that they run much faster off of the SSD than reading and writing them off of the SD card. Now close the left window and keep the right one open but minimize it. That's this arrow here. Next thing you're going to want to do is open Kden Live, which I have pulled up here. This is the video editing software we're going to be using. Now, reopen the file by clicking on it. Looks like this one wasn't supposed to go in. So you select the videos you want, drag them over here, and now you can close this. Now they are in your project bin for Kden Live. Now, for this particular example, I am going to be doing inventory. So if we were ever to inventory all of the parts, for example, that robotics has on hand in LTS, we would do something similar to this. But this is just a few GPUs I have laying around, just for the example. Now, depending on how you do this, your audio may be connected to the video, in which case ignore this next step. However, if you've recorded the audio separately, you're going to want to open Dolphin, which again is just the name of the file manager. Find the audio that you recorded. Audio will most likely be under Documents. Now, I have already exported it from Audacity, which is installed on the media station. You can learn how to use Audacity in a different tutorial on this channel. You want to take the audio, just like the video, drag it over to your project bin, drop it in, and that's it. Now if you do have any other clips that are not organized and you've recently put them on, you can probably find them in Today. Okay, so normally we would want to record an intro for a video we film for robotics. However, since this is an example video, I don't have one. However, I did grab this intro off of the internet. It's Michael from Vsauce. What more do I have to say? So let's watch this real quick.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here.
Okay, so first of all, you're going to want to cut out the before time. Now, we're going to get into cutting. See the scissors tool here, or razor tool. You select that, and you get the scissors and this red line. Now this red line is where the audio is actually, or the video and audio is actually cut. Now, the easiest way to do this is to press X on the keyboard, and pressing X, you see it automatically switches to that tool, and S switches to this. If you hover over it, it says parentheses S, parentheses X, parentheses M. We'll get into the spacer tool later, but if you want to clip video, so let's say I do this.
Hey!
Want to clip it right there, I hit X, I hover over where I want to clip it, I hit left click, and there we go. Switch back to the pointer with S. Now to delete a clip, I simply left click it and right click it and hit delete selected item. Now I can select this clip and drag it over by holding it. And now
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here.
we have that. So now that we have our intro, you may have noticed that it has a green background, and that is intentional because we are going to green screen Michael from Vsauce. Now, in order to use the green screen, you will need to put the background you want into the project bin as well. So let's say I want me and Mike Lindell in the background. I just drag the photo in. Now, this is how green screen works. It's a little bit different on the version of Kden Live you will be using, but very similar. Drag the photo in and put it on the timeline. You raise up the clip, drop the photo, and make it the same length as your green screen clip. You're going to select it, right click it, and hit Add Transition. You're going to select Composite. Now you'll get this little yellow box. You select it, drag it to be the length of the clip, just like that. Now, you have to simply select the clip that with the green screen, right click it, click Add Effect, add Alpha Manipulation, and go to Chroma Key. Select that. Now, you look at the color of the green screen. You can use any distinctive color too. It doesn't have to be green. Now you select this. You're going to want to match that color as close as you can. Once you think you have it, hit OK. And now you adjust the variance to adjust the green screen. If I turn this way too much, Michael disappears. You want to find the sweet spot, and that is where you cut it. Now we have this.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here.
Now it's a little bit laggy, and that is mainly because it is rendering in real time. Once you export it, it will not be laggy. If you don't have that menu pulled up in your version of Kden Live, you can simply go to the drop down here and drag Chroma Key onto the clip. Now that we have our intro, we can get into the clips. Now the first thing you want to do is put them into consecutive order. Now in order to do this, you're going to want to construct a timeline of how the video is laid out, which you can do separately. And once you have it, you drag the clips down together in consecutive order. Now, if you have audio attached to the clips, you leave them as is, but if you recorded audio separate like I did, if you did record audio separately, you right click the clip, split audio, right click, ungroup, and you're going to do this same process for all of your clips. Now you're just going to select them and delete the audio. Now your clips will not have sound. Now you are going to take your voiceover, drag it onto the timeline, like so, and we are going to listen. Okay, let's preview it. Today we are taking inventory of our GPUs. First up, we have the GT610 from NVIDIA with 1 GB of DDR3 video RAM and 48 dedicated CUDA cores. Okay, right away you may notice that there was not enough time for me to finish that, so we're going to need to cut it down a little bit. Now when you look at the timeline, you can see a visual representation of the audio. So hit X to select your cutting tool, and any pauses you can cut out. For example, here I can click here and here. Now what I have to do is select the clips I am cutting, delete them by pressing delete or right clicking them and hitting delete selected item. I can drag this audio back, and that should shorten it. Today we are taking inventory of our GPUs. First up, we have the GT610 from NVIDIA with 1 gigabyte of DDR3 video RAM and 48 dedicated CUDA cores. Record your audio or your video first, and that way you have sort of a reference of how long you want your voiceover to last. Next, we move on to the second segment about the NVIDIA Quadro 600. Let's preview it. Next up, we have the NVIDIA Quadro 600 graphics card. Now that, as you can see, was a very short clip, mainly because I'm not very acquainted with the Quadro. I'm not a big fan of no video graphics cards. And now we have the R5 240, so we can just leave a gap in the timeline and we'll be fine. It'll just be a pause card. Finally, we have the AMD R5 240 with okay, now this is an example where we don't have footage and we have a lot of audio. If you don't like the way a shot is, you can always refilm it. Just to put the SD card back into the handy cam, shoot it again, put the SD card back in the computer, move the files over, put them in the project bin, and put that clip in. It's as simple as that. So I have this first shot. Now I'm going to cut out this right here where I'm turning it around. We're going to cut straight to this shot of the back. So now I want to move these two clips over, but let's say I had a whole bunch of clips and audio here, and I don't want to move them all individually. This is where the spacer tool may come in handy. Just simply press M, click, and drag, and you can move those clips all as one. Move them over, and let's see how this looks. Finally, we have the AMD R5 240 with, now as you can see, we still don't have enough video for audio. So one of the first things we can do here is cut out some of this audio because there are some pauses in it. Together. And now we have finished the video. So what you're going to want to do now, click on this render button and hit render to file. Okay, now as you can see, waiting, it's going to take about 5 minutes to render, and based on the performance of our media station, you are going to be expecting to wait realistically about 1 to 2 minutes for every minute of video you edit. So it may take a little while depending on the length of the video. This one, for example, is it's only like 40 seconds long. It's taking 4 minutes. That can happen. I think the more effects you use, the longer it takes as well. For example, this green screen effect in the beginning, that takes a while to render. Clipping the audio is a little bit intensive, but slowing the clips down, that takes a lot too. Keep in mind, I'm doing all of this on my Dell laptop, so there's that.